Some of the most shocking moments in the gospel happen when Jesus speaks about the future with absolute clarity. Some of his words strike the heart not because they offer comfort, but because they strip away illusions. And sometimes Jesus points at something everyone admires, something people believe will last forever, and tells them it is destined to fall. In Mark 13, 1-2, Jesus makes a prediction that stunned his disciples. They stood before the temple in Jerusalem, one of the most magnificent structures in the ancient world, and heard him say that not one stone would be left on another. Everything, every flawless marble block, every decorated tower, every golden detail would come crashing down. These words were more than surprising. They were unthinkable. To understand how shocking this was, we must understand what the temple meant in the hearts of the people. It wasn't just a building. It was the center of worship, the symbol of national identity, the place where heaven and earth were believed to meet. It represented stability, permanence, greatness, and spiritual pride. The disciples looked at it with awe, admiration, and confidence. To them, the temple felt eternal. So when Jesus walked out of the temple courts for the last time and predicted its destruction, he wasn't just commenting on architecture. He was confronting the illusions of security, religion, and worldly glory. He was dismantling the idea that anything made by human hands, even something incredibly beautiful, could stand forever. He was calling his disciples to see beyond the physical, beyond the impressive, beyond what they assumed was unshakable. The gospel tells us that one of his disciples said, "Look, teacher, what massive stones, what magnificent buildings." It was a very human reaction. The temple was breathtaking. Some stones were 40 feet long and weighed more than 100 tons. The outer courts could hold thousands of people. The golden facade reflected sunlight so brightly that travelers sometimes had to look away. It was extraordinary in every way. But Jesus wasn't impressed. He wasn't drawn to human grandeur. He didn't measure permanence by size or beauty. He saw deeper. He saw the corruption that lived beneath the surface. Religious pride, political compromise, spiritual decay. He saw the hearts of leaders who had turned God's house into a marketplace. He saw the suffering of the poor who were mistreated by religious elites. He saw a nation drifting further from the heart of God while relying on the appearance of holiness. So he said, "Do you see all these great buildings? Not one stone here will be left on another. Every one will be thrown down." His words cut through history, warning us to be careful about placing our confidence in what looks strong on the outside but is weak at the foundation. The temple looked unbreakable, but its spiritual foundation had already cracked. There is a message here that reaches far beyond ancient Jerusalem. Sometimes we build our lives on things that look solid: success, possessions, status, relationships, reputation, institutions, even buildings of faith. We assume they will always be there. We assume they define who we are. But Jesus reminds us that everything earthly can fall. Everything earthly is temporary. Everything earthly is fragile. This is not meant to frighten us, but to reveal truth. If our faith rests on anything other than God himself, it will collapse when shaken. Jesus' prediction about the temple did come true. In AD 70, fewer than 40 years after he spoke those words, the Romans destroyed the temple completely. The stones were torn down, fires raged, and nothing remained. The unthinkable became reality. What looked eternal vanished. And the disciples realized that Jesus hadn't just been predicting the future. He had been teaching them to put their trust in something far deeper. The fall of the temple was not the end of faith. It was the beginning of a new understanding. True worship no longer depended on a building. God was not confined to a location. His presence was no longer behind a curtain. The way to him was open through Christ. A physical temple fell, but through Jesus, a spiritual temple rose. This story speaks powerfully into our modern world, where so many things feel uncertain. Nations change, economies collapse, institutions struggle. People lose what they thought they could never lose. Life proves again and again that nothing on earth is unbreakable. And yet Jesus offers a foundation that cannot be shaken. He wasn't trying to frighten his disciples. He was trying to prepare them. He wanted them to understand that their hope couldn't rest on earthly structures. He wanted them to build their lives on something unchanging. He wanted them to see that when human achievements crumble, God remains. There is also a personal message hidden inside this moment. Sometimes, before God can build something new in our lives, He allows something old to fall. Not because He is cruel, but because He knows we have leaned too heavily on things that cannot hold us. He knows we sometimes cling to comfort, routine, or identity in ways that keep us from growing. He knows that certain stones in our lives, pride, fear, self-reliance, unhealthy patterns, must be torn down so something stronger can rise. Jesus' prediction about the temple invites us to examine our foundations. What are we building on? What feels permanent but isn't? What are we trusting more than God? What structures in our hearts need to fall so faith can rise deeper? The disciples admired the temple's grandeur. They saw strength. Jesus saw fragility. They saw permanence. Jesus saw impermanence. They saw beauty. Jesus saw brokenness. This gap between human perception and divine truth is the same today. We admire things that won't last. We invest heavily in what eventually fades. We assume that what is impressive is secure. But Jesus teaches us that only what is rooted in God is truly unshakable. He is also showing us something about God's patience. Even though the temple had become corrupted, God allowed it to stand for centuries, giving His people countless opportunities to return to Him. But when a structure becomes a barrier instead of a blessing, when it becomes a symbol of pride instead of devotion, when it represents the form of religion without the heart, God sometimes allows it to fall so that true worship can rise again. And when Jesus walked out of the temple for the last time before delivering this prediction, it symbolized something profound. God's presence was no longer in the building, it was in His Son. And through Him, it would be in the hearts of all who believe. This truth is both humbling and liberating. It frees us from trusting things that cannot save us. It invites us into a relationship with God that is not tied to a place, a system, or a structure. It reminds us that even when the world around us changes, God does not. As we look at our own lives, we can ask, what is Jesus trying to shift our focus away from? What temples have we built that He might be calling us to release? What illusions do we hold tightly? Illusions of control, success, stability, perfection, that He wants to dismantle so He can build something deeper. Jesus' words in Mark 13:1-2 carry both a warning and a promise. The warning is simple. Do not place your trust in what will fall. The promise is powerful. God will never fail. When everything else collapses, His presence remains. There is another layer to this story that reveals the heart of Jesus. He doesn't just predict destruction. He leads His disciples toward understanding, peace, and preparation. He is not a prophet of fear. He is the shepherd who guides His people through uncertainty. His purpose is always redemption. His goal is always transformation. In our own lives, when things crumble, Jesus remains steady. When our plans fail, He remains faithful. When the ground shakes, He remains the foundation. His voice still speaks through the centuries. Do not cling to what cannot last. Build your life on what will endure, and what endures, His love, His truth, His kingdom, His presence, His promises. The temple fell, but the kingdom of God grew. Stones crumbled, but grace expanded. Walls burned, but faith became global. What seems like destruction in the moment can become the doorway to something greater. And Jesus wants us to see beyond the fall to the hope that lies ahead. As we meditate on this passage, may we find comfort knowing that God is never surprised by what collapses. He is never overwhelmed by what breaks. He is never defeated by what ends. He is builder, restorer, redeemer, and foundation. And He will carry us through every shaking. Thank you for watching this video. If this message encouraged you, please like the video, follow the Holy Path Insights channel, and share this teaching so others can be strengthened in their walk with God. May His unshakable peace rest upon you always.